What does this song mean? My whole life, I don't know what this song means. I mean, should old acquaintance be forgot? Does that mean that we should forget old acquaintances? It doesn't mean that if we happen to forget them, we should remember them, which is not possible because we already forgot them.
Well, maybe it just means that we should remember that we forgot them or something. Anyway, it's about old friends.
Welcome to another edition of Loot Chest Radio. I am Jay Fonzarelli, and joining me tonight, is Enrique and Nate. Kevin is running a little bit late, but he'll be here shortly. And this is our end of the year special. This is it. This is our last show of the year, guys. Last show of 2017. So let's go ahead and get started. Enrique, what's been going on with you, man?
Where's Roach? That's all I got to say. That's all I got, man.
Oh, man. All right, Nate, what about you, man? What's going on with you lately?
Woo! Just enjoying the holiday season. It's kind of actually sad. I mean, taking down the Christmas decorations, and I have a 4-year-old. She was all in the Christmas spirit, and we were, she was singing songs. We got to take the lights down. But the exciting thing is 2018 is just around the corner. 2017 was a spectacular year. So I'm looking forward to the new year.
Yeah.
That's about it.
2017 wasn't so great for me. I'm looking forward to 2018 though, so I'm really hoping for a great year. But first, guys, let's get into some gaming talk. Let's talk about Destiny 2, guys. Yes, we're going to bring it up again because I want to know something from both of you. And when Kevin joins us, he can give us his take. But what do you guys feel? Do you think that this franchise can be saved?
Well, personally, man, I guess if I can't, it took like an outside approach because I'm like done with Destiny, but the game could be saved if you take out the Eververse trading system. I watched a video recently that did a breakdown of like numbers of how long it would take you to get all the items in the Eververse Trading Co. And it would take you like 2 years to get all the shit in there, man. Like it is legit like a scam, like the way that they're setting up their stuff. So I think the introduction to, the Eververse Trading Co. is where the beginning of the end of Destiny happened for me, So I think that the way that they could counteract that would be to just get rid of that and then go full cosmetics, like, I don't know, shit. They could figure it out, but I don't know. That would be the big thing for me is just taking that completely out and then making something new. And then increasing the loot pool for people, especially exotics, to make them more exotic per se, and get back to the Destiny 1 grind. Put a lot of the things that we had in Destiny 1.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I would do personally.
There's on the Destiny forums, there's a lot of demand for them to get rid of the Eververse. I don't think that's going to happen. I do agree with Nate. I think that's probably where a lot of the issues are happening with the game. But look, I would, and I mentioned this on BRAP this week. I really want them to just go back to the old shader system.
Yeah, me too.
Because in its current state, it's garbage. We talked about this earlier, Jay. Like it's not good.
Nope.
You get one shader and you might like it, but you can't use it because then your whole appearance is out of whack.
Yeah.
Or you may get like 4 or 5 pieces you can use, but then as soon as you get new armor that you want to upgrade to, you lose that color, that shader color. So
yep.
They just gotta go back to how it was in the beginning. They're not fun to grind for. I don't like grinding for shaders. Just not cool.
Well, at least in D1, when you grinded for the shaders, you got to keep those shaders. Because, I grinded the hell out of the Dead Orbit to get that the Revenant shader and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. You did. But now you don't get to keep them. It's just like you use it, you're done. It's just, they really messed that up.
The whole paying for bright Ingrams as well. That's another one.
Mm-hmm. And they got to bring back that strike-specific loot that they had in Destiny 1.
Yes.
I agree.
That I don't know why they took that away. I know that I think they somewhat kind of addressed that with the last patch with the I forget what they did with the weapons, Masterworks.
Yep.
But I still think they need to bring that back. And I don't know why. I'd love to be a fly in the wall in the office of Bungie and just listen to that conversation of who thought it was a good idea to get rid of strike specific loot.
Yeah, I don't understand a lot of like they made so Destiny 1 was kind of it was a journey, right? It started off pretty crappy and then they added these cool things and implemented these cool items like strike specific loot like for an example, and then they take them away for their new and improved Destiny 2, right? Like how does that make any sense? I totally agree with the shaders, but also with the PvP. The PvP was one of the elements that you could just come back to. You know, Iron Banner is messed up. Like you guys know, the loot table there and using those tokens, the token system was a big thing. But Iron Banner needs to be adjusted to be 6v6 at least, at minimum. I think the 6v6 needs to come back in a big way for their PvP, because this 4v4 shit, this team shooting stuff, like trying to be more like Halo and trying to be an esport, you're never going to be an esport. You're not balanced. Stop trying to balance your weapons based off of PvP. It doesn't work. It fucks up. Oh, excuse me. It messes up the PvE aspect of the game. You know, it does not work for this type of a game. So they need to go back to the 6v6 model, because that's what I was doing when I got everything I needed. Right, I was playing PvP, and that's just like endless amounts of hours that you can put in. You know, so that's another thing that they need to do.
I agree.
If they want to go esports, why not just do both? Offer, you know, a 6v6 and a 4v4 mode.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, I agree with everything you guys are saying, but here's the thing. For me, anyway, I don't think this franchise can be saved at all. I don't. And the reason being is because...
That's a spicy take there, Jay.
Well, hear me out. I don't think that Bungie is going to put the time and effort into what it's going to take to bring this game back from the dead. Because let's face it is dying amongst many gamers out there, especially the hardcore Destiny fans like you and I, Nate, Enrique. We were pretty hardcore with D1. Going into D2, we were pretty hardcore. And we're not playing anymore. Enrique, you have played a little bit recently, but you're just not feeling the same as you once did about the game. And I think the reason why this franchise cannot be revived is because they're not going to put the time and effort into bringing us new worlds with actual new enemies. Like, I'm tired of fighting the Vex. I'm tired of fighting the Fallen. I'm tired of fighting the same stuff over and over and over. Just reskins of stuff. And then their guns. They need to bring us new weapons, not just reskin everything with these Masterworks weapons and everything. It's all reskins. Everything is a reskin in this game. Nate, you brought this up last couple episodes ago. That's all this game is about, reskin.
So, you know, we know with a lot of games that are similar, like the concept of reusing stuff is, you know, not a new concept, but when you reskin every single thing, see, the thing that Bungie does is they take away things and they reskin them and they give it back to you.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they did. And that's the shit that gets really annoying.
Yeah.
It's like, I earn these things. I put time and effort into grinding to get these things. You take them away and then you give them back like it's supposed to be a new thing and I'm supposed to be happy and I'm supposed to thank you. It's just it's a false grind and it gets super annoying.
And that's my point with the enemies as well, Nate, is that they just reskin them. They give you the same Cabal, but hey, they're wearing red. They look a little different. Oh, he's holding a sword. You know, give me something brand new. Don't just rehash the same stuff over and over, because there comes a point where you have to say enough is enough, and you just get tired of fighting the same things. You get tired of shooting the same guns. You want something fresh. And with this franchise, it doesn't look like we're going to get anything fresh.
Yeah, and supposedly, quote unquote, the next expansion that's coming out in the spring, it's been leaked and data mined by people because it's on PC. Did you guys see those triangle ships at the end of the campaign?
Yeah.
Where the light goes through, like the traveler wakes up and then the light spreads through the universe and it hits these weird triangle ships.
Yep.
Those are supposedly going to be coming into play for this next expansion with, I think, like 2 new enemy types. So if that is the case, like we're talking about like a couple of months until spring, right? If they come out with new enemy types and new locations and they fix some of these issues, I mean, I might be tempted to come back, honestly. The question is this true? I mean, is this a false leak to try to get people roped back in? Because honestly, I feel like so jaded on this stuff.
Well, see, I heard that they're going to be bringing back the old planets and stuff, and they're going to be bringing back the same enemies and stuff. Like, I think I'm done. I think I'm completely done with this game.
So even if they brought 2 new enemy types and a legit story, kind of like Taken King style, and fix some of these issues, you don't think you would come back at all?
They'd have to give me an entire new planet. And I'm talking a big world, nothing like, oh, you get this small little area here where you get to explore for, a day and then you're done with it. No, I want something new. There's just too much for them to fix, in my opinion.
It's true. And I think that Bungie is focused on the future because Activision's always breathing down their necks. So I think it's going to be an impossibility for them to fix what's wrong because they're focused so much on future content and all this other stuff, They're
focused on Eververse. They're focused on that. That seems like what that's in the front of their minds. And that, along with the multiplayer, seems like it's been a main focus as well. And anytime these MMOs get involved with, the multiplayer side of things, and they start really focusing on that and balancing issues and everything else, it usually ends up killing a lot of the single player game.
Yeah.
Kevin is here. So what's up, Kevin? What do you say about Destiny? Can this franchise be saved, bro?
It can without Activision. Coming from an MMO background, they've just cut and dissected and tore apart this game, and just to make money. You know what I mean? It's clear to me that they have a cool premise, a first-person shooter, MMORPG-esque type of game, right? It's a hybrid of the two.
Yeah.
And you bring them together. That everybody likes. I mean, that's cool. People love shooters. People love RPGs. You mesh them, and people will flock to it, as they did. The numbers show. People are there. People are interested, right?
One of the best shooters ever, too. I mean, it feels great.
It feels great. I mean, taking the Halo background of some of the team at Bungie, and they have it's such a fucking it's weird, right? So on one end, the road that they're like after Taken King, I thought that was a staple of how the game will be represented in the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they completely feel like they just went 10 steps back with Destiny 2. The same beats, the same story beats, right? I mean, there's a little bit more cinematics than the first game, but now we're just seeing recycled enemies. We're seeing just really grindy. The world stuff that you're doing in the game is just super. You just stop caring after a while, and that's the problem. The way it's supposed to be, to me, is Destiny 1 and then Destiny 2 should have been an expansion. That way you have reasons to go back and redo those instances, reasons to go back and get new loot added in old dungeons to make the world big immersive world. And they just cut it up, and it gave us Destiny 2. I think it's completely like a slap in the face to people who are interested in the franchise. Like, but let's not get it confused. The lore is cool. The game is cool. Like, they always have that going for them. They can always turn things around. I just don't see it happening if it hasn't happened yet. It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, I don't see it either. And let me just say right off the bat that I've seen some of the expansion because my son has been playing it. My 12-year-old, he really wanted it, so he got it. And he's begging me to try to play with him and stuff, and I'm like, no, I'm not going back. I'm not downloading this game to my ex. I'm not doing it. And I've seen some of this Curse of Osiris, and it's total crap. What you get in this thing is complete trash.
It's not that good, man. You're constantly going back to the same places and just grinding. It doesn't make any sense to me.
And let me ask you something.
Disappointed.
What did they charge for this?
It was $20, right?
$20.
Wow. Yeah. Now I'm going to go downstairs and slap my son for spending $20 on that trash. No, I'm just kidding.
What was the first expansion in Destiny 1? The House of Wolves?
It was the Dark Below.
Dark Below. Then it was the House of Wolves.
See, no, it's Dark Below. Trust me. So people were comparing the size of these expansions, like with Dark Below, because it was small.
Right.
But believe me, it wasn't like this. Okay, the raid was, it was small, but it was fun. You got, you got new weapons. It was nothing like this. This expansion is a slap in the face, like we've been saying. To consumers, it's a slap in the face because Bungie knew what they were doing. Okay, that's why they forced the bundle to people, and a lot of people pre-ordered the special edition that came with the expansions, so they were already locked in. I talked to a lot of friends that said, "Hey, if I wasn't dumb and I didn't get this like combo, I wouldn't have bought this." And then first of all, it's like, okay, you guys can't buy it individually; you need to buy it in a bundle. They did this because they knew how small Mercury was. They knew how shit the story was. They knew.
And that's
you can't tell me they didn't know.
That's the thing, though. When they started off with the Dark Below and then House of Wolves, they were kind of bad expansions, but then they got better with the Taken King and the Rise of Iron. Things seemed to be looking up by the end of D1, and then all of a sudden that just came crashing down for D2, and it's obvious to me why. They were trying to cater to the casuals and Eververse. And those two things right there, and as Kevin pointed out too, is you got Activision as well. With these things still in play, I don't think the franchise can be saved.
It seems like they're going off what Activision saying, because that's daddy, right? And they need to be talking to Blizzard more, I think.
Yeah.
Because they have the background, they have the research, they have the experience. What, World of Warcraft came out in 2004, correct?
Yep.
So they're seasoned in the MMO market, heavy. They're the granddaddy of them all. Learn from them. And I don't think Bungie knew how to make an MMO-esque type of game to begin with. They just did what they thought was going to work for people, and it doesn't. Destiny didn't get right until TTK. Period.
Well, let me ask you something. With all this backlash, though, do you guys think that it's going to affect the way Activision or Bungie decides to go forward?
No, I know exactly the route that this is going to take, because we've seen it before. Okay, Bungie feels like they can screw over the consumers to a point where there's like extreme backlash, and then they concede. Right? We've seen it before where they pushed consumers to the edge, because the game was dying in Destiny 1. If you guys don't remember, before Taken King came out, and then Taken King was really good and it appeased the consumers and stuff like that. That's exactly what's going to happen in this game. They put out half-assed content. The consumer base drops off. They're like, okay. And then, other games that are going to be competing with it, like Anthem, if Anthem comes out, they're going to have to do better.
But I think the biggest difference here, the biggest difference here is Eververse, though. That is the newest addition here to Destiny 2. And is that the backlash for that do you think that's going to be removed at all?
No, of course not. Why would it be removed? They're making money.
Well, that's what people are asking for.
Petition, but I don't think they're gonna remove it.
You know what's crazy too? When you play Destiny 2, all the like default armor shaders are trash on purpose. Mm-hmm. That way you'll be more motivated to spend money in the Eververse, get those bright Ingrams, and hopefully you get a good looking shader.
So I'll tell you a little story here. My son's playing Destiny with one of his friends, and he tells me, I overhear him talking to him going, "What? You spent $30 in Eververse?" The kid spent $30 in Eververse. Now, granted, the kid's 11, but still, like, he got Christmas money and he decided to spend $30 at Eververse. It's just that kind of stuff that just really pisses me off, that they're still going to get money from some people, whether it be kids or adults. They're still going to make some money off this stuff, and that's why they won't get rid of it. But at the same time, it's like it's completely ruining this game.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sad.
I think the challenge for them and what they haven't done well, if you look at other MMOs, like Jay, we were talking about Warcraft earlier today. They needed, with these expansions, they got to deliver more content too. Mm-hmm. More like you guys talked about more weapons, more armor. I think even the raids have to be a little bit bigger, I guess, in terms of scale. And I think that's how you're going to keep people engaged.
How about give us a raid in D2 that's actually fun? You know,
it felt like a chore. Honestly.
Yeah, the mechanics in this raid was terrible. And once we got it down and we started playing, some of us had this false sense of, oh, we're having fun. But honestly, if you look back in this raid, nothing about that raid is really that fun at all. It was just having laughs with friends, and that was fun. But the actual raid wasn't that fun.
I think the gauntlet was the funnest part. But then when you played the gauntlet, then you played the dogs, and you realize like this is kind of copying what we just did, just in a different format. Mm-hmm. And I think people want, when you initially do a raid, you want to kill something with a lot of HP. As soon as you kill them, you want to drop.
Yes, you want that drop.
Gone. Mm-hmm. And so you have to turn these tokens in to get a random raid roll.
Good point.
And it doesn't feel rewarding at all.
Yep.
Like when I drop a big monster, I want something.
Yeah.
And you want to see loot explode out of the body. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Kevin, if that's not rewarding in a raid, they have a serious, and I haven't played the raid, by the way. So if you're saying that's not rewarding to you, that's a huge problem. That's terrible.
I completed the raid once, and I'll never do it again.
I did too. It was that bad to me. And here's the thing: like, you beat a portion of the raid, and they hand you tokens. Here's some tokens.
I mean, I remember playing Vault of Glass, my favorite raid, by the way, and we would go back because we wanted weapons. You'd get certain weapon drops, certain armor drops.
Oh, well,
but now they're giving tokens.
And now you can sit back and just get a raid drop from that one lady up at the tower.
Bro, I had mostly all the raid weapons from that chick.
Yeah, you don't even have to play the raid. You can just sit back and join a clan, and you'll get all the clan raid, weapons and gear from the raid. It's ridiculous.
And from trials, it's stupid. All the in-game stuff, you can just get it without earning it.
All you gotta do is fuse it. That's it.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean, that's I've heard that argument that they've tried to make it too. They've tried to make Destiny 2 appealing to casuals, and so now it's an issue of if you just have to join a clan, you don't have to do anything. You just reap the benefits of whatever your clanmates are doing.
Yeah, I think they need to get rid of that too.
If they take that away, what's going to happen now? Or if they take that piece away, will people riot?
I think they need to take that away.
What's upset me the most is this is one of my favorite games of last year. It's my most played game last year. Mm-hmm. And 2 years, 2015, 16.
Yeah.
And what upsets me the most is I shouldn't be feeling buyer's remorse at all with this game in particular. I shouldn't feel that way.
I don't feel that way only because I put in over 200 hours into a $60 game. I feel like I got my money's worth. I had a lot of fun with this game. And I don't even take back my score of the game, my initial score, because I had fun with it. And up until that point, it really was a 9 out of 10 for me. But the end game is where it just dropped off. And I just think that there's just way too much in this game to be looked at and fixed, that I don't think Bungie's going to do it. I don't think Activision's going to want them to do it. I think it's going to stay the same. And as bad as that sounds, guys, I think 2018 we're going to get more of the same from Destiny.
Shit, the Division even has a better chance of doing a better job watching Destiny fail.
I've heard they've made a lot of changes to that game, so I don't know. That game never interested me, but I know to a lot of people it's good.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Ooh, there's a loot chest in my sight.
Folks, we are Loot Chest Radio. We are a small podcast just trying to get off the ground, and we need your help. If you're listening to us on iTunes or have an iTunes account, please give us a rating on there. It'll make us more visible to potential listeners out there. Also, follow us on Twitter at LootChestRadio. And of course, as always, keep listening to LCR.
Welcome to Loot Chest Radio, where you can find your best loot in a chest.
2017, a year in review, guys. Let's talk about the games we played, what we liked, all that good stuff, what we didn't like. Let's start with you, Kevin.
There wasn't really a dry spell in 2017. There was always something to go. You didn't have a chance to play everything. So beginning of the year, I was so hyped for Mass Effect Andromeda, and boy, that game highly disappointed me. I didn't care about what I was doing. Dialogue options were bad. It just felt really just mediocre, and the combat's good, but other than that, I was really disappointed. But the stuff I did have fun with, Wolfenstein, the new Colossus, right? Assassin's Creed is good for the most part until that end grind. What else, man? 2017 was a great year. It reminds me of 2007, where you just had banger after banger after banger. To me, I'm playing Persona 5 right now. That's a game that released in April or March.
April.
Yeah, April. So I got that day one. Didn't have a chance to play it because I was playing other things and catching up on the backlog. So I'm playing through it now. I'm about 40 hours in, and I'm loving the game. If I can pick my game of the year, it'd probably be this so far. Horizon Zero Dawn, brand new IP. That was my second runner-up for the game of the year, because brand new IP, and I'm not really a fan of Killzone, and them just to come out of nowhere with this game, and it took my breath away, man. It was fighting. Who doesn't want to fight robot dinosaurs? You know what I mean? So I enjoyed that a lot. Platinum that game. I'm gonna go back for the Frozen Wilds DLC, and
which is actually, I heard, even better.
Yeah, I heard it's really good.
Much improved, which is crazy to even hear that.
Yeah, and just to come out of nowhere with this game, I think that's the part that amazes me the most, is how much fun and how high ranked on my list it is to be a unproven franchise. You know what I mean? It's brand new. And I think they hit it out the park. Guerrilla did a great job. There's tons of games out there that came out, Nier Automata or Automata, whatever you want to call it. Had a lot of fun with that game. Still playing it right now. Not quite finished with it. But 2017 for me was good, man. I have, Call of Duty was actually pretty good this year. I mean, the story is still almost the same beats as the rest, but if you like that high octane first person shooter stuff, it's there. Multiplayer solid.
By the way, how did World War II end? I'm just kidding. We've beat that genre to death, man.
Yeah, but 2017 was great. I think 2018 is going to be much better, and that's even crazy to even think about that. But yeah, I'm just ready for 2018, man. I had a blast at 2017. Got to finish up the games from 2017, and then I'll be in good hands, man.
Yeah, Enrique, what about you, man? Let's reflect back on this year. Reflect back.
Reflect back. I think 2017 is one of the best years in gaming that I can remember in a long time. I mean, let me put this in perspective. January hits, we get Resident Evil 7, right? February hits, we get Horizon Zero Dawn. March hits, we get a new console, we get the Switch, and we get Zelda Breath of the Wild. Right. And then in between there, you get those 3 months. You also get Gravity Rush 2, which I wasn't a real big fan of. It was okay. It wasn't for me. But, it's one of those games that, a lot of the reviewers seem to like and other gamers enjoyed. Yakuza 0 came out, which I think is like Yakuza, like for me, kind of fills that Shamu itch for me. Yeah. And I'm actually still playing it. It's in my backlog, but Yakuza 0 is actually a really good game. And then, Persona 5 drops in April. And I mean, Jesus, it's like in the first, 4 months of the year, you're looking at potentially 3 or 4, game of the year contenders. I can't remember a time where we've had that. And it wasn't just great games coming from, big developers, publishers. It was also from, smaller indie studios. I think in April, What Remains of Edith Finch dropped as well.
Yeah,
And
great game.
that was probably one of my favorite games that I played this year. And then you go into Hellblade, Nier Automata, Neo, Halo Wars 2, and then the later part of 2017, you get Assassin's Creed Origins, you get Cuphead. I mean, there's just so many Mario Odyssey. There's just so many games that came out this year that were just really top notch. I don't remember a time where we had so many, just a variety of so many great games from different genres, and from and that not again like that weren't just games from big studios, but from some of the indies too. There was a lot of variety, I think, and then just throwing in Nintendo. I mean, Nintendo really, I think, kind of turned things upside down a little bit. And we talk about consoles making an impact, and I think the Switch more than PlayStation and Xbox really had an impact this year. Nintendo really kind of changed how we experience or how we interact with content by creating this kind of hybrid home console / portable console. And they're the icing on the cake for me for 2017. They've done well, very well. And so for me, this year is going to go down as probably one of the best that I can remember in the 35 plus years that I've been gaming.
So you're saying it's one of those years that just made you broke?
It did, and I own all 3 consoles, so yeah, and look, the backlog is real. And I have games from that picked up on sale, and I'm like, why am I buying these games? I'm debating whether or not I should pick up Deus Ex on next month on for free on PSN, and someone's like, well, it's free, why wouldn't you pick it up? I'm like, well, I'm backlogged.
Yeah.
So I think the backlog speaks volumes to how good of a year this was for gamers.
I don't know. I wouldn't say 2017 was the best year in gaming. I think it was a good year, but there were some missteps in the industry. I just want to point out that, we had a year where we had 2 new hardware, pieces of hardware come out for Nintendo and Xbox. So you have the Switch and the Xbox One X. Both are really good. The Nintendo in general just made this huge push, and in the industry, it's good when Nintendo is viable, 2017 marked, the year where all 3, the big 3 in gaming are back in business. And this is good for gamers, the Switch is there, the Xbox One X is there. So, but 2017 was a big letdown for the Xbox. I do Xbox content. I report the news for Xbox, but they had a tough year beyond the Xbox One X. They had a tough year because let's be honest, a majority of their exclusives that were supposed to come out this year were pushed into 2018.
That's true.
Crackdown 3, State of Decay 2, and Sea of Thieves. All of those were supposed to come out this year, So it was a very dry year for Xbox, but Xbox kind of closed the year out with a bang. Cuphead is one of my all-time favorites when it comes to a game. That was a very welcome surprise, and it's just I relate with that game because growing up I drew and drew cartoons and stuff like that. This game was just awesome. Cuphead was one of my highlights, but when it comes to disappointments, I think a lot of these games, these big AAA games were, they were hyped up and they didn't deliver what they were supposed to. And Mass Effect Andromeda was one of those big hyped up titles, and it did not live up to what it was supposed to. It's one of the most disappointing.
Yeah. And now we may never have another one again. That's how bad it was.
Well, that franchise is done.
That franchise is pretty much dead, and it's a shame, right? Who doesn't like Mass Effect? So we had that in the beginning of the year. And then personally, For Honor was another one of those games. I mean, it's a Ubisoft game. It was hyped up and the servers were shit. A lot of things about that game were just bad, you know? And then Ghost Recon Wildlands, it's one of the top selling games of the year. But to be honest, it was a big letdown for me. You know, the missions were repetitive. They lacked creativity. And it just didn't look that well when it came out. And then Destiny, we all know about that. It's one of my favorites. You know, I got 200 plus hours into Destiny 2, but it fell on its face just like a lot of these games. You know, it's hyped and then it falls on its face. And then, you know, we ended the year with Star Wars Battlefront and then all the controversy surrounding the microtransactions and the pay to win. So
yep,
I think this year was filled with a lot of broken promises from these big developers.
Oh, man.
Publishers. And, you know, we had a lot of winners. Cuphead was one of them. Wolfenstein 2 was probably one of my favorite single player, you know, based linear campaign games of all time. Game was awesome. It could have been game of the year for me easily. And then, like I said, PUBG is a phenomenon. You know, it came to the Xbox console. It's on PC. You know, on PC, they just hit a milestone of 3 million concurrent players, which is amazing. And then Assassin's Creed Origins, one of my favorite games of the year. And I know, Jay, how you feel about it. But I think this game is awesome. I think the changes that they made to it are, you know, important. I love the fighting style. I love the loot, and I love the way the game looks. So anyway, it's a mixed year for me. I think overall it was a good year. But like I said, when it comes to these big AAA publishers and developers, I think there's a lot of hype and not a lot of delivery. So
yeah. I agree with a lot of what you said, and you sort of set me up here because that's what it comes down to for me. Is there was a lot of disappointments in 2017. There was a lot of games that were not just hyped up, but for me personally, Mass Effect was one of my favorite franchises of all time, and I was so hyped up for Andromeda, and not a very good game. I played Assassin's Creed Origins. And let me tell you, man, like at the beginning, I thought this is game of the year contender for me. This is an amazing game. You know, I was having so much fun with it. It looks great, plays great. I like the combat changes. Everything about it seemed great. And then once I hit about level 25, I noticed that in order to progress in the story and do the main quests, you had to be certain levels, or you'd get your ass handed to you. So as I'm going along, I'm noticing, wow, that next main quest, I'm level 25, but the next one is level 28 or above. Okay, well, what do? I got to grind out to get to at least level 27 before I want to start that quest. So I had to grind out side missions. And if you guys know anything about this game, the side missions in this game, oh my God, they're horrendous. Now, some of them, there's a very few of them that are actually good and have some meaning and add to the game. But for the most part, it's like, go pick up this guy, carry him out of this fort, drop him, and then he'll get up and say thank you and walk away. And I'm like, what? And there was so many little missions like that I did over and over. It just got tiring, boring, monotonous, to the point where this game became a chore. It became a chore. And I finished somewhere around level 34, 35, something like that. And I just couldn't wait to be done with it. But not only that, but it also forces you to do other things in the game as well. And the ship battles. Oh my God, the ship battles, guys. I do not like water-based games. And it forces you to play these ship battles that I just never want to touch again. So as soon as I finished the game, I immediately took that game off my X because I don't want to ever see it again. And I will not be buying another Assassin's Creed title ever again because no thank you. They obviously stretched that game out and it was pathetically done. And I don't know if it was for their microtransactions or not, but here's the thing. They actually have a section in the game that says time savers. And you go into that section and it's a bunch of microtransactions. You can buy ability points. This
seems a little forced, man. I mean, we talked about this on Brap. Like, and when I talked to you about the side missions, and you were like, they're boring as shit.
Yeah.
And I'm like thinking, well, that's because I'm actually kind of in the same point of Assassin's Creed where in order for me to move on, I need to do side missions.
Uh-huh.
And I don't want to do these side missions.
But
you never had to do that in Assassin's Creed before.
Yeah, and here's the thing. Like, other people are saying, oh, maybe it's just open world fatigue for you. No, bullshit. Because I've played many open world games, and they don't force you to do tons of side missions.
Witcher 3 doesn't.
Well, this kind of goes back to it being like it's open world RPG, man. That's what RPGs are about. You have to grind. And I think if you would have grinded earlier in your playthrough, the end game would have been a piece of cake for you.
I actually did grind a lot because what I did grind for was materials, because I upgraded my stuff, because I did not want to.
Different from side missions.
But listen, I didn't want to spend money, so I grinded for materials and stuff, and it took me hours. I put in over 60 hours into this game. 60.
Yeah, but Kevin,
I think the disconnect is this Assassin's Creed. It's not like the other ones, you know. It's more RPG, so you can't compare like how long it took for you to complete the other ones and the fact that you didn't have to do the side missions, because just like, you know, Kevin was saying, this is an RPG and the grindiness is inherent in this type of game, right? So, you know, it's up to debate whether or not you think that side missions should be, you know, required, but why would they put side missions in if they don't want people to play them? It just doesn't make sense.
Well, in every game I've played, you know, personally, if it's an RPG based game like this, there's a main mission or main missions you can follow, and you can pretty much stick to that if you want, and just do nothing but that and finish the game and have a ball doing it, and maybe just go collect materials and stuff, as I did with Assassin's Creed. I collected a lot of materials, upgraded my stuff, had fun with the game until it came to the point where they forced you to do lame side missions. Now, had these side missions been fun, I would agree with you, Kevin, and I would say, oh, you know what? The game was great because they had all these side missions anyway, and they were fun. But no, they sucked. You literally, in some of these missions, picked up people, walked them out of a fort, put them down, and they walked away. It was crazy.
How many side missions did you do in the beginning? Like, did you save it all to the end, or how did that work?
I only did very few, because in the beginning, it seemed like you could stick to the main missions more often. And
the way, like the difference with me, I did, I don't know, I say around 50 side missions, maybe 40, or I don't know. I did a lot. If I didn't do that much, it seemed like I did that much.
Yeah, you had to.
But I'm only on the third mission of the game, I think, in the main story, and I'm already level 25. So
yeah.
By the time, like I'm saying, the progression, by the time I do a couple main missions, I'll be 30. So I'll be high level when I'm done.
I know so many people that were contacting me on Twitter telling me the same thing. Hey, Jay, I couldn't even finish the game. It got so bad because them forcing you to do certain things. And like, I'm not the only one, but like I said, it just, for me, it started off as a game of the year contender, ended up a chore, and I don't like games feeling like a chore. And that's just one game of this year. I played many demos that saved me money this year. Nier Automata was one. Neo was another one. I didn't like the control schemes in Neo at all. I thought it felt weird. I didn't even want to play the game, but I played through that demo and was not excited for the game at all. So I didn't pick that up, didn't pick up Nier, don't have a Nintendo Switch. So there was many games this year that wasn't exciting for me. And the only game I have not picked up yet that I need to pick up is Wolfenstein 2. And that could possibly be a game of the year for me. I don't know, because I like some of the other Wolfensteins. But for the most part, 2017, I played mostly games from last gen. I played like 6 games from last gen because I've never played them before. One I had played, but the other ones I didn't. But I can totally recognize why it's good if you have all 3 systems and you're down with some of these games that many people like. You know, a lot of people like Nier, a lot of people like Neo, but for me personally, it was not a great year for gaming.
Jay, this is a good time to point out, like, to all the people out there, that the subjectivity when it comes to preference on video games, like, this is, you know, we have 4 people on the panel. We all have different opinions on games, you know? Like, some people think it's the best year, some people think it's the worst. That's the reason why when some people are saying that some exclusives on certain consoles are shit, it doesn't make any sense, and it doesn't hold weight because there's niche titles.
And I don't hate anybody here that says it was a great year. That's great for you. I'm happy it was, but for me it wasn't. The two standout titles for me this year, though, by far, Cuphead and Edith Finch. Those two titles were stellar. Edith Finch, the story and everything, fantastic game. If you guys haven't played that, go out and get that game. It's a great game.
Yeah,
Cuphead,
I haven't played that.
Another great game.
I'm hearing so much about that game that I'm gonna have to pick it up.
So those are tied for my favorite games of the year. But yeah, that's how my 2017 went.
Yeah, I think, and I totally, I get that it's kind of a personal thing too. But I also look at this from an industry perspective. When you have a consensus out there that says that all these, there's been so many great titles that have dropped, and I talk about that January to April timeframe.
Yeah, I can recognize that. Yeah,
I think you could look at it two ways. Personally, do you feel like this was a good year? Some people will say yes, some people will say no. But from an industry perspective, and then when you throw Nintendo into the mix,
Enrique,
yes,
you had Mario and Zelda in the same year, bro.
I mean, that's
insane.
That's fun. I mean, I can't remember. I don't remember a time where we had Mario and Zelda the same year.
I don't think there's
maybe since the NES.
Maybe the original.
Maybe in '86. Maybe in '86.
And those games were stellar games for their genres. They were stellar. But
yeah,
I just want to say something about Assassin's Creed. I agree with you. The trick with these open world RPGs or these sandbox games with side missions, the challenges that developers have. And there's this emphasis now, and there's this trend of making these big open world games to kind of keep that high level player engagement up. And they throw these missions in there. The challenge is, well, how do you make these missions connect to the overarching story?
Yeah.
Or make it relatable to the character. That's where The Witcher 3 excels.
Yep.
And if you play some of the games or the side missions of The Witcher 3, they're very fulfilling. They don't feel like you're on a fetch quest. A lot of them have to do with who the character is.
And better yet, you don't have to do it.
And you don't have to do them. I was going to say that too. You don't have to do them.
You kind of do, though. Like, I'm playing through it. Like, you don't have to do it, but you need to do it to level up. Like, let's be honest. Like, there's level requirements for certain missions, man. Like, I'm playing through The Witcher 3, and like, if I don't do side missions, I'm not going to be leveled up.
Here's the thing: you
do to an extent, but I didn't do a lot of side missions in The Witcher 3.
What's the point when you're developing a game? Like, you're talking about, getting player involvement. I'd rather have a game that has all these options, like side missions, even if they're boring and some of them aren't, than having a game that you just finish and then you can't go back to it. I think it just comes down to
look at that.
Are you trying to speed run through these games or what's going on?
But you got to look at you got to take that word option though. You have to look at it that way. If it's an option, that's fine. But if it's forced, that is not good, especially when some of these missions are just so lackluster. And
here's the thing: if it's going to be forced, it needs to be meaningful. Like, it just can't be fetch quest, and that's the challenge that developers have. That's where CD Projekt Red, and that's why, like, if you talk to a lot of people that have played The Witcher 3, who have played all the side missions, they'll say that like a lot of the side missions tied into the overarching, story of the game.
I haven't finished.
Relatable to the character.
I haven't finished the game.
Is made by a totally different developer, and it's a different type game.
Yeah, but
Assassin's Creed is not as RPG as The Witcher 3.
This is their first shot at it.
Remember that. So they're changing their game up. Like, it's a complete new thing for Assassin's Creed to come in, and I could see where they're coming from. It's like, okay, we had Assassin's Creed, the game the way it was, and people are getting tired of it, so we need to take elements from other games. You could see elements from the Far Cry series. You could see elements from
Dark Souls,
and all this other stuff, like,
and Witcher.
So you can dump on the side missions as much as you want, but if you look at overall the bigger picture, was it a good game? It was a good game.
Here's the thing: when you get down to the end, and this is strictly if you were just playing main missions. And you were forced to do all these side missions, even if you started out and you started doing a lot of side missions, they're still boring. And you need to do them. Whether you do it in the middle, end, at the beginning, you still have to do them. And that shouldn't be forced that way. Especially with how many I had to do to get through this game. Like, I had to do way too many.
I don't know, man. I wanted to do the side missions in Assassin's Creed Origins, and I did those like first, and
how many
I
hours
progressed through an area.
How many
That's
hours
just the
did
way
it,
I approached the game.
So how many hours did it take you to beat this game?
I haven't beat it yet because I flowed into The Witcher 3 because I got the X, and that's the real issue there.
Okay, so
is I have two massive open world games that
well,
I'm playing, and that's not the way to do it.
I'm telling you right now. Because there's other things in play too. Once you get to the end of Assassin's Creed, you will see what I'm talking about.
Spoilers.
They force you, and I'm not, but they're going to force you to do things, and they're not that fun.
He might not experience it that way. If he's doing all the side missions first, he'll be level ready.
No, it's not even just about being level ready. Trust me. There's other things there that they do that it makes you just want to pull your hair out. It's not a very good. It's not a very good way to end the game, and that's the problem I had with it. And here's the thing: I'm looking at it another way too, and I'm wondering if there's a correlation between all these side missions they force you to do because you need to be certain level, and the fact that they also have microtransactions involved with these things called time savers. Is there a correlation there? Did they do this on purpose?
That's where I kind of like raise an eyebrow. Like if you're not making a side mission engaging and you're getting to a point where people maybe have to do side missions in order to level up, you're gonna have people that are gonna be like, you know what, fuck this. I don't wanna do this. I'm just gonna
buy ability points, buy materials.
I'm gonna buy points to level up.
Yeah, buy materials so you can, upgrade all your gear. You can do all that. And, I spent hours grinding for materials because it takes a long time to get materials, and you have to go into forts and stuff and find the little pieces you need to upgrade your stuff. Not just the materials off of animals and stuff, but you need this little jewel thing. I forgot what it was called, but there's lots of things you have to do to grind out.
But you're not a stranger to grinding though. You played Destiny 1.
No. But
we're like going around on
thing.
Mars trying to look for fucking relic iron, right?
That's very different because it's an MMO. In that genre, that's what's.
But here's the thing.
That's a key element in that genre.
The overlying thing though is
in open world RPG, the side missions are options. They're not meant to be.
No, but they don't. So you have materials you can get in The Witcher, right? Like if you want to make potions and you want to do this, you have to grind. And
my point with all that though, Nate,
if you want to, yes.
My point with all that though is the fact that when you're grinding, are you having fun? And this particular game, no, I wasn't, and that's subjective.
I'm sure you can find people that said that they enjoyed.
Yeah, I'm sure there's people out there saying they enjoyed. Yeah, they enjoyed picking up people and taking them out of the forts and putting them down. Yeah,
so there was a lot of people no side missions in Assassin's Creed that were good.
There was a few. There was a handful of side missions that I felt really added to the story, and I really liked those. And I was like, this is more of what I want to see in this game. But a lot of them were fetch quests.
That's an example, Jay, of a good side mission then, because side missions are supposed to be optional. But the challenge that developers have had is that how do you make a side mission and how do you not make it feel like it's a chore or a fetch quest? And not everyone can do that.
That's what I'm trying to get at, is that side missions, yes, you're right. They are supposed to be optional. That's why they are called side missions. They are not supposed to be forced, but you have no other way to get higher level but to do these side missions. And they're terrible for the most part. 90% of them were terrible in this game, in my opinion.
I'm going to disagree.
but anyway, not to get too far off onto that, I just think along with that and the fact that 2017 brought in a whole we had this whole stir of microtransactions and all these issues going on with that it just put a bad spin on gaming this year for me. Yeah, so for me, it wasn't a great year. Enrique, it was a good year for you, one of the best. Kevin, you liked it this year as well. And Nate, you were sort of just like, it was good, right? Not great, but good.
Yeah.
What do you guys hope for in 2018 for gaming?
Greatness. No, I'm joking.
Well, apparently you broke bread with Shuei.
Oh yeah, man.
You just kind of been sitting on that.
Right. Yeah, we're still sitting on that bread.
And I understand that Shuei, well, I don't want to say anything, but I got some nuggets. I heard some things that were really interesting.
Yeah, I mean they're really, like you said in the presser, they're focused on Windows. They're not trying to give dates just in case stuff happens in between, and which is, people think that's a negative. I think that's smart. Then you won't have to deal with the scale bound thing, the Fable thing. You don't have to deal with the backlash. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
2018, we got some of the console sellers coming out. You know what I mean? I don't know about Nintendo. I don't know what they're doing for 2018 or what's their projection, but I know Sony, on the other hand, has some of their premier games coming, their flagship titles coming out, which is God of War. Let's be clear here.
March 22nd.
Yeah, that's what we're going with. I mean, I don't see why not. I mean, mostly all God of Wars came out in March, right?
Wasn't that confirmed? Not correct. That
it might not be, but I'm still holding on to hope. So
I don't think that's the date.
Nah. But I mean, you got Crackdown 3. If that's your thing, then go ahead. If it's for you.
I don't know where Crackdown 3 came from, but I was just telling you about God of War not having a date.
Oh, no, I'm just saying overall, the games that are coming out next year, we got some flagship titles from, the big two. I don't know. Like I said, I think maybe we might get a Pokemon game from Nintendo. I don't know. But the projection of 2018 just seems a lot more meatier, if that makes any sense. You got Red Dead
Redemption 2.
Red Dead Redemption 2. I mean, Anthem, Metro. I mean, there's some heavy hitters. I feel like these games in 2018 hold more weight than 2017. I think 2017, to me, had great filler. Like, a lot of companies come out with third-party games, and sometimes they're hit or miss. But this time, the third-party games were actually really good. And you don't get that all the time. So I think 2018, we got some heavy games coming out. And it looks promising. Now, do I sense a delay in some of these? Maybe. I don't know. I can't call it. But I'm leaving room for surprises, So
I'm excited to see God of War, Spider-Man. Those are probably like my two most anticipated games. I'm curious to see what Nintendo's going to bring. I know that there's a rumor of a new Pokemon for the Switch, and I'm really curious to see what Bethesda's going to drop this year, 2018. I want to see another. I'd like to see another a new entry in the Elder Scrolls series. I don't know if we'll get that this year, but I'd like to see them drop that, and then obviously Red Dead Redemption 2. Anthem will I'm kind of curious to see how that's going to turn out. I think that's pretty much it in terms of what I'm looking for. I'm actually curious to see what's going to happen with PUBG, if that game's going to be able to kind of sustain, its momentum going forward. It's still fairly new. But I just wonder how they're going to be able to keep that player engagement up.
Will they add C4?
To do that?
Yeah, will they add C4 or not?
They need to. I think they need to. I think for them, the challenge is player engagement. Like, how do you keep that player engagement up the way it is? I think for Steam, I think concurrent players, it's right under 1 million right now for Steam. And that's still pretty impressive. It's nothing to, it's very impressive. I mean, I guess I just wonder long term. I mean, is this going to be a situation where, how do they keep this momentum going? I mean, do they add new, playlists? Do they add different, is it a matter of just adding new maps or new weapons? I'm just curious to see how this kind of pans out for PUBG.
Yeah, I hear you. Nate, what do you got for 2018, man? What are you feeling?
I did a video on Red Dead. That's probably my most anticipated title. So it's rumored that game's going to be coming out in June. So I think that's a good time period for the game because, traditionally the summer's kind of weak for big blockbusters. So whatever games were like rumored to come out around that time are probably scuffling and shuffling or like waiting to hear from the big bad Rockstar to tell them when they're going to drop this game. Because like, for example, State of Decay 2 and, who knows about Crackdown, but like those are rumored to come out around that time. Like if you're those, developers, you got to be like, okay, when are they going to drop their game, and we'll shuffle, from there,
No doubt.
So Far Cry, the new Far Cry looks amazing. So I'm definitely looking into that. As far as other titles go, I'm curious to see how these exclusives from Microsoft do. There's a lot of people that are shitting on, Sea of Thieves or State of Decay or even Crackdown because they're double A's and they're not triple A's. But I think Sea of Thieves has a huge potential to bring in a bigger player base than some of the past titles for Xbox, because let's be honest, I think that Xbox was kind of misguided in their identity in the beginning of the generation. I think they were pushing single player titles out there and they didn't do well for a reason. I think PlayStation knows their identity, and they continually put out titles that, their audience likes, the single player games, and they put out bangers, and they know their identity.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see, since Microsoft is moving more towards multiplayer titles, because all three of these rumored exclusives are all multiplayer.
Well,
I'm curious to see if they do better.
It's interesting you bring up single player games on Microsoft, because I kind of have to disagree in a way, because if you take a game like Quantum Break or Recore, I still don't think they do well on PS4, and that's because the games themselves just aren't very good.
So what was bad about them though, specifically?
Well, with Recore, I never played Recore. I'll be honest, but everything I've heard from it, was that it was pretty weak. Yeah,
I just think that it's easy to shit on those titles if you didn't play them.
Here's the thing: I'm not shitting on it. I'm looking at the general consensus of both titles, and if you look at how they're rated by Xbox users, by people that have actually played them, they're not rated very high. So,
Quantum Break was, a lot of the knocks against it was performance. Okay,
I mean, like Quantum Break from if you look at like Remedy, to me that was Remedy's worst game.
Yep, by far.
I mean, it was terrible. I mean, it looked like a 360 game.
Facts.
It was uninspired. It had the one aspect that I'll give kudos to Quantum Break is that they try to do something different with the television aspect of it. But I think Microsoft shifting gears kind of hurt that a little bit. And they included a Hollywood character. If you remember the original trailer of Quantum Break, it wasn't Scotty from X-Men, or I forget the character from X-Men that ended up being in Quantum Break. But I mean, it just seemed very.
Let's get back. Sunset Overdrive. How was that game?
It was great. I mean, Sunset Overdrive is probably one of the best.
That's an example of a good game that didn't sell well.
But it's also one of those games that isn't going to appeal to everyone. I mean, and you have games, and you see this on the Sony platform too. Sony has games that are very good. They don't appeal to everyone.
Hellblade.
They don't sell well.
Yeah, but the thing that I'm trying to say is they're two different consoles for a reason,
No,
but Xbox is known for multiplayer titles.
But here's the thing. But I also believe, though, if you were to take any Naughty Dog title and put it on the Xbox, it'll do very well.
Okay.
That's I really do believe
just conjecture. I mean, you're taking something that is a known commodity. It's a known franchise that sells well. And of course.
Yeah, I know things. Good, right? I know things like you hear people say it all the time. Xbox is the dude bro box. It's the shooter box. It's that type of thing. And I get that.
Specifically, the Xbox excels when it comes to multiplayer.
But
they're online. That's where the social aspect is. It's undeniable.
Yeah. No.
So why wouldn't Microsoft focus on that? And have that as their identity. I don't understand the situation, like why it's hard to understand that.
Well, I think it's just the execution of certain games. we still, like you said, we don't know about Sea of Thieves. For me personally, it doesn't look like a game I'd be interested in at all, but that's just me. Okay. But we don't know how that game's going to turn out exactly. I've heard some things from friends that are actually playing the alpha and stuff, but again, that's the alpha. We don't know what the end game's going to be like, but from everything I've heard, it doesn't seem like it's going to be a huge standout. It may be, I don't know. It almost sounds like it's like the PUBG on the water, you know? And I just don't see it.
It's not really though.
No, but
you've played it.
I've heard aspects about it. Basically, instances popping up,
and you can get gear.
Yeah, but there's no
blah.
there's no lore. There's no story. It's just multiplayer mayhem. And I get that. If that really sells on the console,
how do you
awesome.
know that there's not a story though, dude?
From what I've heard, from what I've heard from people who have played the game.
I played the alpha, and I can only say a certain amount.
Well, I don't want to say who, but some people have told me certain aspects of the alpha so far, and it's not like it's a multiplayer game.
Like
that's it.
A limited amount of things, though.
I played the alpha. I played it at E3. It's just they drop you in. There's barely even any text in the game. So
yeah, but
I don't know.
You heard that it was only like 20% of the actual game, right?
Maybe so, but that 20% didn't offer any narrative. So I don't know. Until the game launches, we'll find out. But until now, it's just
what I'm trying to say is the game hasn't even came out yet, and it's limited knowledge. But what I'm trying to say, if you would focus on what I'm saying, is that this lineup that's coming out is multiplayer focused, and I know for a fact that it will do better than the stuff that came out in the beginning of the generation that was single player focused. It will sell better, and the audience will be engaged longer, which will make more money. And that's you can't argue against that fact.
Well, we can't say it's fact because we don't know if people are going to like it.
Yeah.
Right. Well, if they like it, then yeah, absolutely, people are going to be engaged and people are going to buy it. I will say this though, I don't agree that I understand like the perception of the Xbox is shooter box, but you got to remember something. The Xbox OG and the Xbox 360 had a very diverse lineup. And the 360 was successful early on because it had a very diverse lineup. The difference between Sony and Microsoft, they're both offering multiplayer experiences. The only difference is that Sony is relying on third party to provide said multiplayer experiences, which happen to be Call of Duty, Battlefront, which they have marketing deals, but they're still offering the same type of experiences for the most part. I think that the big difference from a first party perspective is, yeah, you're right. Microsoft probably focuses on more games as services or online, games as opposed to Sony, where they, we do what we do well, as Microsoft does with the online stuff. But Sony's offering, things where, games that are, more content driven, narrative driven, single player experiences. But at the end of the day, I think that you're getting very much similar experiences on both boxes now, for the most part.
And the reason why I'm saying this too is because I know for sure there's a couple of hardcore Xbox fans that have told me personally that they do want to see more games on the console, more single player story based games on Xbox.
There's no excuse why we don't have it.
I'm not saying that they should go all multiplayer, right? The thing is like in the beginning of the generation, they had all single player games, man. That doesn't make any sense for the console. They lacked an identity. I'm telling you.
But those games weren't good though, for the most part.
No,
they weren't received.
They just weren't good games. I mean, like Rise was not. I like Rise. Rise is fun for me. I love Rise, but Rise for the most part wasn't a good game for a lot of people.
I mean, you have your preference, but
yeah.
I mean, I don't know what to say, dude. I feel like I'm the Xbox supporter in the corner here, and all three.
No.
On the other side. I mean, it is what it is, right?
Here's the thing.
I think you just have to. You just have to look at it is what it is.
I could tell you,
they didn't put out single player games that were good for the most part.
I like.
I'm not denying that, but they did have quality games, right? Sunset Overdrive was a quality game.
I know it's all subjective with
I'm-
games, but let's talk about
but
Recore.
I'm not gonna
Did you like
just
Recore?
sugarcoat stuff.
Yeah, did you like Recore, by the way, Nate?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, and then that's the general
But
consensus.
I played it, and I can tell
Yeah.
you why I didn't like it.
Yeah,
It felt
Like-
rushed, and I know for a fact that it was rushed.
It was rushed.
Okay.
You know,
It wasn't finished, and they didn't do what they were supposed to, and it performed well. It performed bad,
It was a cell
like
phone.
graphically. Yeah, so
cell phone.
well, I'm
it is
glad
what
that
it is, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
we can talk semantics and
Yeah.
all this other stuff, the way Microsoft has approached things and blah blah blah. But what I'm trying to say is, just because you don't think that you're going to enjoy a game doesn't mean you need to shit on the game before it launches. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I'll continue to shit on Sea of Thieves only because of my personal feelings about the game, but I would never shit on somebody else's feelings towards a game if they do honestly like the game. Like, I'm not totally
State of
blanket
Decay
statement.
looks awesome, dude.
For me,
I
State
mean,
of
I played
Decay.
the first game, and
I
I think
loved
the
it.
idea of the open world,
Yes, I
and
agree.
surviving with your friends, that's going to catch on.
I agree.
Out of all three of these titles,
Here's the
you
thing:
know,
when I play PUBG, I keep thinking about State of Decay 2 because I'm thinking, wow, we could have this
If zombies were
feeling
here.
with zombies, with other
You know what,
aspects.
Jay? You just gave them another idea. We're gonna have PUBG with zombies.
There you go. There you go.
You might.
Here's the thing. I will say, Nate, that I understand what you're saying. You're hoping that them getting back to this identity of multiplayer first, with these 3 games coming out for them, that hopefully they'll do well for the company and we'll see more, prosperity for 2018 for Xbox. And that's great. And I hope so too. I as much as I don't like Sea of Thieves, because I don't like water-based games or whatever, that's fine. But
I want to
if
see
other
Sea of
people
Thieves
love
do
it,
well because
yeah,
it's rare.
I do too. I want to see these games do well because I want to see Microsoft continue to do well. I think they've started off with the X this year, and I think that they have the potential to just do nothing
Look,
but get better next year.
This is my main problem, right? Microsoft, where's my next Gears of War? Not literally. I'm just speaking theoretically. Like, where's the next big, huge, multiplayer game? Like,
well, Shuei answered that for you at dinner.
No, I know. What I'm saying is, with the OG Xbox, we had Halo. 360, we had Gears, and Xbox One. Don't worry, I'll wait. That's how I feel. You know what I mean? Like, where is it? Multiplayer is your focus. That's your bread and butter. We've known that coming in.
I don't think that's coming. To be honest with you, I don't see them taking risk like that anymore. I just don't see it anymore.
I don't see them taking big risks. However, I do think that every once in a while you will get something new from them.
Yeah,
and I think this year they will show something at E3 that's brand new in AAA.
The scary thing is, I think their big quote unquote next push into the new multiplayer genre for this generation is Sea of Thieves, or it's Crackdown.
You have to look at it this way. What's exciting about E3 this year for Microsoft, guys? I'm really looking at the fact that we have the X now.
Kill the S.
We should be seeing some great things in terms of graphics and performance out of the Xbox brand now. And at E3, what better way than to show off that power now with a new game, a new IP? Show it, like reveal it. Even if it's 2 years out, I don't give a damn. Show it.
Jay, I've been saying this. I've been saying, you know what? Screw the S. Develop a game that shows off the power of the Xbox One X.
Yeah, but they can't alienate a whole bunch of people. They
know what? Screw it. Who cares?
Who cares? Do it.
I mean, do it. I mean,
but it's
why
not
not?
going to happen. It's not going to happen. But here's what they can do.
If you're going out there and you're saying I have the biggest dick in the room, show it.
But here's the thing: what they can do, though, and this is just like computers. You can have options. You can have a game that's optimized for the X and a game that runs poorly on the S.
If that's a problem, my windows need washing. My grass is about tall as me. Come mow this lawn, man. Get this X money. You know what I mean?
But I'm just saying it's good to have the option there where you can have a more dumbed down version, for lack of a better word.
You know what, Jay? I don't want a dumbed down version.
No, on the S.
Let me tell you, I've been very impressed with the X. I think it's a great piece of hardware. I got that itch. I want to see what it's capable of.
And I think you will see that at E3. I don't know, Nate. What do you think? You think they will show something that'll blow people away? I think they will.
I just think it's a mid-gen refresh. Like I understand what you guys are saying, but you knew what you were buying.
Oh,
when
of
you
course.
bought it, right?
But I'm saying you're gonna see it pushed more at E3. I think we're gonna get some better stuff coming out of Microsoft.
Course, but the S is making money hand over fist.
Yeah, I know. I would never say alienate the brand.
It's their money maker right now, so they're not going to just shit on that player base and say, go get an extra job and get an X. That's not going to happen.
Although I do tell people
it's going to take some time to phase out the S.
Yeah, I do tell people all the time.
They cut the lifespan of the OG Xbox. It was only 4 years.
Yeah, but you still have the S. I mean, they're not going to discontinue the S for probably a year or two.
I do tell people though all the time. I say, if you're in the market for an Xbox, get an X. Do yourself a favor and just stay away from the S altogether because. No, I do say that because
come on, I mean,
it's terrible. I'm being honest here. The performance issues, the performance difference is big on some of these games. Not all.
Hold on, let me say this. My brother, I got him PUBG for Christmas, right? He loaded up, downloaded it, played it, and I was watching him play, and it ran pretty damn good, honestly.
Nate was playing
on the X.
Yeah,
no, on the S.
Nate
on the S. He had the OGS, the fat one, and it ran well.
Oh, good. That's good. That's good to hear.
Yeah, it was good to see, because I was just watching. I'm on the couch, covering my eyes. I'm like peeking, like, oh my God, he's gonna say it sucks, but no, it ran great. So
yeah, that's the problem, man. I don't know, man. Microsoft pushed the limits with power, and it could be a new console, but they're not going to be able to treat it like one. That's the problem. Like from a business perspective.
Look, this is computer architecture, though. We're arguing about something that doesn't make any sense because you can basically do the same thing computers do with games. You can have options for a better performing, better looking game, and which is they already do that with some of these games that are out now that are enhanced for the X. They already look and perform so much better. They could just continue to do that, but first party, they could really push the envelope, and I think they'll do that.
So Jay, that's what I was going to say. Like, imagine minus a Halo 6 or minus another Gears, if they put the resource together, put out this new IP, and they built it on the X, right? With they could scale it down, with kind of like PC settings, like you mentioned. I mean, I think that would go a long way, and I think
definitely.
people would be like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah,
people would pay attention to that.
Yeah,
and I think that is what they really need. I've seen articles recently, the media saying this, we'd love to see Microsoft do something with the X. And I don't think it's just the media. I think other gamers out there, we want to see it.
But they can do it. They can do it without alienating millions of people with an S. They can do that is what I'm saying.
No, they could.
And I think they're going to do that.
With the PC type approach,
Yeah, I think at E3 we will see something. If we don't, then, alarm bells have to sound. Okay, even as every Xbox hardcore fan out there should be alarmed if they don't show something new at E3 here in 2018.
Full disclosure, if they don't show anything, as long as third party, I keep seeing the enhanced section grow, I'm okay.
Yeah. For me too. Honestly, I play all my third party on this X machine because it's the most powerful. So I get that, and they were banking on that as well. They got me because I'm that type of gamer, but not everybody is that type of gamer. Not everybody has, $500 to shell out in the first place.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I get it.
One of my predictions for Microsoft, I know that you're not the biggest fan of the direction of Halo, but I think that they're going to drop a bomb at E3 and say, Halo's coming out and it's coming out this year. So you could say what you want about the franchise, but it is $1 billion franchise. You got the next Forza Horizon game coming out. And I've been at the forefront saying they need to make new games, which they will, and they are. But if they come out and say, hey, we're coming out with Halo 6, they show a badass trailer and they say it's coming out that,
I agree.
Season,
I agree.
That's a big thing.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. It's big to some of the hardcore there, but for me personally, it does nothing for me. I need to see something.
You can't say Halo's not big, bro. I mean, you can say that it's tired.
No. I'm not saying.
The last couple haven't been.
I'm not saying it's not big,
which it hasn't. It's $1 billion franchise,
but
it moves.
It's dead to me for me personally.
That's you.
Yeah. And it's not going to do anything for me. I need to see something brand new, even if it's 2 years out. I need to see something brand new at their E3. They need to show me something.
We've said that.
That's
I
all.
mean,
Here's the thing. Like I understand Halo is a moneymaker for them, but and this is why Sony is ahead of them, because Sony knows that you can't continue putting out the same franchises over and over again. You just can't.
So you can't put a COD out every year and have it at the top of MPD.
Well, no, I mean, the thing is with
that bucks the trend right there. I think you can. I mean, Halo's right there.
But COD is third party though. I mean, from a first
matter.
party,
Halo's treated like
it does
Halo's
matter.
treated like COD.
Nate,
it does matter because you cannot, because now you're doing what everyone else is doing, and this is what people understand.
I'm not, bro.
Third party and first party. If COD is dropping every year, right, and you're dropping the same franchise every year, what's your differentiator as a console? How are you different then? You're not different.
We're not dropping it every year.
But that's even more the point. If you're not dropping it every year,
it's a first party. Okay, so you're talking about that Halo needs to change dramatically, and they can't come out every year. That doesn't make any sense.
I don't think Halo needs to change. I think Microsoft needs to take a risk and put out some new.
They do need to. When did I say that they didn't? They need to put out new franchises, but you can't say that Halo isn't a moneymaker and it's not a $1 billion franchise, which it is.
It is because of their multiplayer.
I'm not saying that it's not. I think they're going back to the well too much though with Halo.
They're not.
Yeah, they are. Look,
absolutely
not. Nate, check this out. When you start the game, you drop out of a Pelican, you shoot the same grunts you've been shooting for 15 years.
Yeah, I be honest with you.
It's part of the lore. You can like it if you do, and you can like it if you don't. The fact of the matter is, it's, you know, with COD, you jump just like you're saying, you shoot the same guns, you go to different, you know, time periods, you shoot enemies, you have the same multiplayer.
That's third party, that's Activision.
It doesn't matter. It's the same concept. It's the same concept. It's the same concept.
It does matter if you look at what COD did and when the decline of the franchise, when they started doing the same thing.
No,
when they changed it to boots on the ground with Call of Duty World War II, look what happened in terms of sales.
Yeah,
it changed dramatically.
Well, here's all I got to say about it.
Microsoft to flush it down the toilet.
No.
I'm not saying Microsoft needs to flush it down the toilet.
And Gears 2, while you're at it.
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is stop going back to the same franchises over and over and over and over again.
But here's the thing. I kind of see where Nate's coming from in a way, because if you're saying stop the franchises over and over, look to Nintendo. They do the same thing every time they come out with a new console. It's always Mario's, your Zeldas, your Metroids. They're always coming out with the same franchise.
Are you fighting the same enemies over and over again? I mean, you are to an extent, but there's enough differentiation with the gameplay and the mechanics.
I think the problem lies with, and I'm just speaking on Halo specifically, and just for me, because these games are subjective. We can't argue that, you know, this game sucks or that game sucks, you know, and say it's objective here. But Halo 5 had a terrible story for me, but I recognize that the multiplayer is really good. And the multiplayer shines in Halo, and people will buy Halo just for that multiplayer year after year if it came out every year. So I get it.
You could cut it in half and have multiplayer only, and it would sell.
Yeah, I get that, but I'm just saying, as a wow factor, I don't think Halo 6 would be that wow factor for them. That's all I was saying about the whole
you would be a wow factor, dude. You cannot say that, dude.
This is the problem. Check this out. Hey, the first trilogy of Halo, right? You got great narrative. Great narrative, in my opinion. So if you're at your peak and you give people something, you can't just take it away. Just like 4 was lacking. It was better than 5 campaign-wise. But now, what about Halo 5? Complete. It seems like an expansion game. So they really need to. I say this: Atriox and the Flood. You give people those two things in Halo 6, people will flock to Halo.
Oh yeah, I mean,
you know what I mean?
The bad guy from Halo Wars 2. I mean, man, I'm telling you,
just
dude.
Him alone. If they put him in the game, I'm sold.
I mean, I don't understand why. It comes down to development, but I'm right there with you. Like he's like engaging.
Yes.
You know, he has personality. You want to, you know, it's so I predict, I don't know. I feel like that dude's going to come in to play. So, but
no more luck.
I think where the argument lies here is just the story
It's
needs to get
subjective.
better, and they need to have more, because you can only change. So first person shooters, right? I play them a lot. It's my number one thing, right? I don't know what your guys's is, but first person shooter is my thing. You can look at my stats on Xbox. It's pretty much all I play. The thing is at the core of Halo, it's a first person shooter. And you talk about the enemy types and stuff like that. It's cool. I mean, they could come in there and make new ones. But if you change the way that game's played so much, it won't be Halo anymore, and the fans will get pissed off. Trust me. Okay, because it's just like, what are you going to change with that game to appease your need for change and diversity? You know what I'm saying? Like, what would make you happy?
For me, it's just better writing and play as Master Chief, period.
Talking about the story,
Yeah.
that the story is different from gameplay, right?
Yeah.
Because like mechanics, like they implemented the Titan Slam and like different movements and the way you can ADS. Those are all changes that change the game. You're talking about story. Like, story is separate from the actual gameplay. So the thing is like, we all know that the story needs to get better. The story is bad, So they made some wrong decisions, but they can make that better. But like, how far can you go with the changing the gameplay before it ceases to be Halo?
Yeah, it for me, it's not about changing dramatic change with gameplay. It's strictly the storyline and just playing Master Chief. Like Halo 5 playing as Locke was terrible. Okay, for me. I just don't want to play as another character. When I think of Halo, I think of Master Chief, and that's my issue with it.
There's a lot of people out there that would be like, "Oh, we play as Master Chief over and over. It's getting old. Like it's such the same." That's what. No. So they tried something new, and they try to put diversity in there with Locke, and then everybody shit on it.
But the problem is they didn't execute on the diversity well.
Okay,
when you look at you look at like with the story, and you look at like the lore. If you read the Halo lore, like Locke would have never broken Master Chief's like faceplate. That would have never happened.
Okay, well that's
and I don't know why they did that, but like when that happened, and I thought they could have actually, they probably actually could have taken Team Osiris in a different direction. And actually that could have been a game by itself, I thought too.
Yeah.
Because there's some lore there with Team Osiris, and but there were some things there that were kind of questionable. Like, okay, well, why is Locke? We know Master Chief is the guy. Mm-hmm. We know that in the Halo like universe that Locke breaking his faceplate would never happen.
Yeah,
and maybe that was done for maybe for effect, but I just didn't feel like it just.
Yeah. Well,
the story wasn't there. It was like,
yeah, but that's all subjective.
It just wasn't there for me.
It's all subjective, and we're getting like way too into this whole Halo and all this stuff. Look, Nate, if you see Halo 6 and it looks badass and everything, you'll be excited for that. That's what we're getting out of this.
It's not just me, dude.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of other people will too. I'm not saying, I'm not saying that maybe I won't think some of it looks badass if they show me a great trailer or whatnot. I'm not.
You're looking at like you wanting innovation and you want them to utilize the X.
Yeah.
Have you seen Halo 5 on the X?
Yes.
No, look, I mean, it looks great. Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
So they're going to show Halo 6 on the X, and it's going to blow your face off. Then what else? I mean, they show a good trailer. They fix the story, and they're saying, "Hey, it comes out this year." That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
You don't think there's people that are going to be like, "Hey, I want to upgrade to an X to get the full potential out of this game," a game that's been known on the Xbox console since the inception. Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I guess that's your opinion.
But
I have mine.
Yeah. I guess for me, barring Halo and everything, I'm not saying they should get rid of Halo. I would just like to see them, take more creative risks, because they used to do that. Mm-hmm. And they used to bring. I mean, I always say this to people: Ninja Gaiden was exclusive to the Xbox, the OG Xbox, and think about Ninja Gaiden as a franchise. I mean, Ninja Gaiden was one of the first games to introduce like cinematic gameplay or cinematic cutscenes at a time where that wasn't possible. Potentially, people didn't think it was possible when they did it on an 8-bit console. And that's the Microsoft that I'm like, where's that Microsoft at?
Yeah, but like, I don't know, man. It's just times have
Wait,
changed.
let me ask,
You know,
do you think 343 is capable? It might start there.
I mean, yeah, I do. I think that they were with Bungie and they had the split up, and Bungie left, and they're figuring things out. It's just like it's the question of the story narrative. You know what I'm saying? Like, I do think they're capable. I think that they wanted to go to a different direction, and they kind of fell that they got so much backlash for the lock thing. Like they wanted to try something new, and I just think people are resistant to change, and I think that's why we go back to talking about reminiscing old times and the exclusives that the OG Xbox had.
You're always going to get
times are different.
You're always going to get the two different types of people. You're going to get the people that don't refuse to change, and the people that are wanting change, and that's expected in everything. And gaming is no different.
It's Gamer Poll time. Since the World Health Organization believes video games can become a serious addiction, gamers, what do you say? And there's two answers here. So 34% actually agreed with it, which is crazy. And the 66% said, no, I don't agree with it at all, which that's where I'm at.
Okay.
So
we're going to get into this. Now, here's the thing. When they are talking about an addiction, they're relating to it at like somebody has an addiction with drugs or gambling or whatnot,
or sex.
Hey, even that.
No, seriously, people have sex addictions. It's I'm not trying to be funny. I mean, it's just you wouldn't think that it happens, but it does.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Now, I said yes in this, and I was speaking with Enrique earlier today about this because I was shocked at this poll, Nate, and I'm sort of shocked that you would pick no as well, because the result, the resounding no that we got was kind of odd to me, because I've known people to be addicted to games, and I myself have been addicted to a game, and that game was World of Warcraft. And I tell you, when I started playing that game, it was something about it where, yes, I did stop to go to work, to come home, but I'm not saying I never called off to play this game. I'm not saying that it didn't cause any marital problems, because it did. I had an addiction to that game, and it's a real thing, and it's a bad thing. And, we could talk about it here. Like, have any of you been addicted to a game to the point where you just were compelled to play it?
World of Warcraft, hands down. That was crazy for me, dude. I mean, calling off of work, not eating as much. It was bad. It was bad, dude.
Yeah, and it caused marital issues with me. Like, seriously, to the point where it was almost Divorceville at that time.
So
it was bad.
I just want to bring something up real quick. After we had our conversation, I thought about people that I've known that that play a lot of video games. I have a cousin who, smart guy, got a full scholarship to college, got hooked on Dota 2, and failed out of college. He was addicted to Dota 2. And so this is a real thing.
Dota 2, that's the same game a lot of these people die of in internet cafes.
Yeah, it's a overseas. Big MOBA. Yeah, and so I think what people, I guess what I've taken, my opinion, what I've taken from some of the responses that I've seen in the conversation that I have, no one's attacking gamers per se, and this diagnosis, if you will, or of gaming disorder doesn't apply to the majority of us. It doesn't.
No, and I think that's where a lot of gamers might have answered no, thinking, oh, they're just putting a label on us. They're saying that this is a bad thing. Like if it's a drug addiction, it's just a hobby of mine. And I get that because that's all it is to me now. But had you asked me that when I started playing World of Warcraft many years ago, I would tell you right off the bat that no, that's wrong. I was very addicted to that game. It was very bad, man.
It's like this. Like if you get drunk, it doesn't mean you're an alcoholic, right? If you abuse alcohol and it affects your life to the point where, it's impacting your basically like it's causing negative things to happen in your life on a continuing basis, and you're still doing it despite those negative things happening, that's addiction.
Yeah.
And there's been cases. This isn't anything new, by the way. This conversation has been happening in terms of game addiction when people started dying playing these like MOBAs like Dota 2.
Yeah.
And
48 hours straight of Dota 2.
Yeah. And
Crazy.
So this conversation in the mental health community has been happening for a long time. It just never really officially got labeled. It's not new, and it doesn't apply to the majority of gamers. It applies to those extreme cases where people are, calling out of work, or it's affecting their interpersonal relationships, or it's causing these negative things to happen in their life where they're missing work, they can't make money, they can't pay their bills, and you know what? They don't care.
Yeah,
because they need to continue to play that game. They can't get pulled away from it.
I think there is a positive extreme to the subject matter here.
Oh yeah, there is.
There's a lot of people who play this game, as their livelihood, that make money off streams.
Yeah.
They develop relationship with significant others. They get married. They have kids. Like there is some positives to it too, as well.
No,
I mean,
but that's not addiction, though, Kevin. I mean, like those people are playing because they have the ability to, and they're monetizing it. But it's not to the extent where it's impacting their interpersonal relationships or their ability to function.
Yeah.
And that's the key. Like it's not like not all people go play on the slot machines or have a gambling addiction.
Yeah.
I mean, these are extreme cases of addiction.
I wanted to ask Nate, like, what made you choose no on this poll? Like, what were you thinking?
So the question isn't whether gaming can be addictive. Okay. That's a mental health situation. Anything in life can be addictive, like you could take working out to extremes. You can become anorexic. You can, you could be addicted to anything. Okay. Yeah. And it can impact your health in a negative way. I think the reason why it's not the question of whether or not gaming can be addictive. We all know, and we've known that it can be addictive. The problem that people are having is the mental health community wants to put a name and a disorder on everything, Yeah. So if you put a name and a disorder on things, you can go collect welfare. You can collect disability. Hey, damn. I mean, I might as well say I'm addicted to gaming since it's defined and it can be paid by insurance, and I'll just go on disability and play games all day.
But here's the thing.
But that's not how
it's not my fault.
But that's not how that works, though. I mean, you have to have.
I mean, it's by definition, if it's a mental health situation and it has a definition in, it can be classified it's out of your control.
But you have to be diagnosed though by a professional.
And here's the thing. If somebody is going through
the thing that people are saying is they're tired of people putting labels on everything and trying to say that everybody has a label for everything, because once it has a label, you can diagnose people with it, and the misdiagnosis happens.
Yeah, but
I'm sure there's small kids that are going to be diagnosed with this video game disorder.
But there's been a lot of people,
medicate them and all this other stuff.
I see what you're saying.
But that's a small number of diagnoses, though.
I see what you're saying.
And I only say this because I know this.
You asked my opinion. That's the opinion. I mean, it is what it is. Like you're saying, your basis of the argument is it an addiction or not? Yes, it is. But should it be classified in the book of disorders? No, it shouldn't. I don't think so. Because addictions, you can have addiction to ice cream. Should you have a disorder named after it? I don't think so.
Well, there is a disorder after it. It's
food addiction. Food. Yeah, there is a food addiction.
Specific ice cream.
No, but
ice cream is a food.
So what I'm trying to say is you walk a fine line when you're trying to put labels on everything.
Okay,
saying
well, let me ask you
everything's a
something
disorder.
then. Let me ask you something then. Like, let's say, because I'm sure at one time people didn't look at anorexia as an issue at all, and there are people dying over this.
Or alcoholism.
And there's the same thing going on.
Yeah, how many people die over video games though? Let's be honest.
There have been
Out
quite
of-
a few
out of
deaths,
the millions
though.
and millions of people
No,
that play.
I,
How many people are dying because they're addicted to video games?
but how many people are having negative things going on in their lives because of video games?
So what I'm saying
I'm sure
is
there's
it's not
thousands.
It can be addictive, but I don't think it needs to have a name or a disorder to it. It's an addiction, just like
Well, the problem when you don't label
everything else can be
something,
an addictive thing. You need to be treated for the addictive nature. It's in your personality to be addicted to things. It's not a new thing. Just because you're addicted to video games, you have that tendency to feel the need for emptiness in your life based off of depression, because it has been shown that video games are good at relieving depression. They're up on the same par as antidepressants. You can look it up.
yes, but they can also go the opposite end of the spectrum, and they can make you be so addicted to that feeling that you get by being online, being in a virtual world with other people and stuff, that you totally forget your real life.
They even had
everyday
a game
things.
called Second Life. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
It's
but-
true. We're not arguing the
No,
fact
no,
that
no.
people are trying to get escapes, but you have to focus on
Okay,
the
but
underlying
what about-
issue.
What about
of
getting help?
Why they're trying to do
Okay,
that.
but what about people that aren't able to pull themselves out of this situation? How will they get help if they're not diagnosed?
Then they get treated for depression because that's probably what they have, right?
No.
That's not. But that's not the case. all
That's
the
not
time, though.
necessarily
or
it. though.
other mental disorders, right? Because there's underlying issues why you're trying to escape from
I
your life.
personally,
Look, no,
I personally wasn't going.
My cousin doesn't have any mental
Yeah,
disorders.
I wasn't going through that as well. When I wasn't going through depression at the time. I had a
Just like
wife, I
video
had
games
kids,
a lot.
but
That's it.
So you're addicted to
I was
video games.
I was
What if I'm
addicted to-
addicted to working out? Is that classified as a disorder?
It is
Well,
actually.
yes. If you're
Actually-
working out and you're not eating and you're not spending time with your children, if you're not working to work out, yeah,
That's an addiction.
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, it is what it is, dude.
yeah. But
I mean,
the thing
You
is,
guys,
it's like,
here we are again.
yeah,
I mean,
you have
you
to.
three versus me. I mean, it's cool.
No, I don't. It's not us three versus you. I just, I think we're
Well, if you
all
look at the
expressing our
poll-
opinions here.
I know. So you guys don't think that it's an issue where there's a definition to everything, there's a disorder for everything, and everything can be defined and everything needs a definition.
Well, if it's a very serious thing, then I say it needs a definition. It needs to be labeled.
Yeah, I think when it starts impeding your ability to function, and it starts impeding in your interpersonal relationships, and it affects your mental health and your and that's what the definition is. It's the most extreme thing. Like, where you're not going to work because you want to play, World of Warcraft. And what happens if you don't go to work? You can't pay your bills. You get fired from your job. And you know what? You don't care about getting fired from your job because you want to play World of Warcraft.
No.
Your wife leaves you because you play World of Warcraft.
I mean,
These
my mom used to come out the room and be like, "You playing that Soul Searcher again?" I was like,
Yeah, I
"Soul
mean, but-
Searcher? What are you talking about?" She's like, "That damn game," and I was like, "Yeah." I mean, she
But-
called it a Soul Searcher. Like, is it literally what it was? It took everything away from me.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's when
a
these
problem.
are the most extreme cases. And yes, I think when it's the most extreme cases and it's affecting people and it's hurting people, absolutely you should label them because you need to know how to treat it.
Yeah, because it could in turn affect other people in that person's life. It could affect not only a spouse, but kids as well. There's lots of stuff that, there's lots of things in life. I agree with you, Nate, should not be labeled as, certain things or whatever, diagnose somebody for just
I don't agree everyone has ADD.
the most ridiculous thing. Yeah. And the same would go for this video game addiction. I'm not saying that, this guy plays this game too much. Oh, he must be addicted to video games. No, because
so the thing is, when it has a label, it can be misused.
yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Like,
But-
when ADD, okay, so people have ADHD, that's fine, it's a thing. But there's a lot of kids that are medicated
And then don't need it.
misdiagnosed,
I
and their
agree.
lives are ruined because they don't really have the issue, but people are like, oh, it's, it's defined, so let's treat it. That's the same with video games. I feel like since it has a title and you can see a psychologist over it and you can get a definition on it, I think there's going to be a lot of things that come from this.
That's true. That's true. But at the same time, just like with everything else, things do get misdiagnosed. But there are people out there who actually have the affliction, that have the problem. So those people,
it's an addiction.
It
could be treated like an addiction, dude. I promise you that people have been treated for video game addiction before there was a definition on it. They go to a treatment center and they're treated. It doesn't need a definition to be treated for it.
I disagree. I think addiction.
So people haven't been treated for video game addiction.
I think that
they have, but the diagnosis hasn't existed officially. And I think that I don't think there's anything wrong with raising, awareness with regards to addiction. I feel like I understand like people saying, oh, if there's a stigma of labeling everything. Oh, well, back in the 70s, no one had ADD. No, people did have ADD. And I understand sometimes there's misdiagnosis, but I can tell you that the percentage of misdiagnosis is small compared to the people that actually have it. And I think that there should be more mental awareness with mental illness and disorders because it's part of the society. And
that's fine.
For too long, it's been taboo.
Well, yeah, but I just think that gaming has negative stigma enough.
But see, that's the thing. That's the thing.
It has a very negative stigma.
And that's what I think is the issue with a lot of
doing
people.
A podcast on gaming. Okay?
Yes.
So you guys know for a fact that gaming has enough negativity attached to it.
And then that's where I think this is coming from. But that's where I think this is coming. But that's where I'd
be like, oh, okay, this is very. You're walking a tightrope here.
Nate, but
people get addicted to it. There's this definition, so you probably shouldn't play video games.
That's where I think this is all stemming from. Not only from you, but many other gamers included in this poll as well that think that. Because of all this negative stigma, they think that this is just added upon that. And it's not that at all. Basically, the way I look at this is, look, they are now diagnosing this. They're putting it out there so people can get the proper diagnosis. And there's people out there that would not recognize this as an addiction. They would just scoff at it and just, write it off. But now that it's actually labeled, there are going to be some people out there that will take notice of this. And some people might get help for this. And I see it as being a good thing. I think putting that negative stigma on it about, it's already a lot of negativity about playing games, being an adult playing games and everything. I think you got to remove that from yourself and look at it.
Yeah, but we all form opinions based off of experience. You guys formed your opinion on this topic based off of your experience.
Exactly.
You had a negative experience with World of Warcraft, which people don't all have and haven't been addicted to games.
And that's the thing.
Therefore,
not every gamer.
Forming your opinion. You're saying it needs a title because you've had that experience.
And not every gamer out there is going to have this problem. They don't.
That's what I'm saying.
It needs a title because it needs to be studied and it needs to be recognized so they know how to address it. And,
you'd have hour shows back in 2005 and 2004 when World of Warcraft was at its peak on video game addiction. This is not anything new.
It's not new at all.
They've just been going on forever.
And the stigma out there, I keep hearing people say stigma. There isn't as much of a stigma as there was when I was growing up playing video games. Video games have crossed over now. I mean, it's culturally acceptable now. And you only have to look at the numbers and the revenue that the industry is bringing in to see that. And so I don't think this stigma exists.
I disagree, but that's cool.
The way it used to. I mean, like, we were.
Look at VR. I mean,
it's selling more because there's more people that buy the product. It's not, or everybody. We live in a day and age of politically correctness. People aren't going to come up to your face and tell you what they really think.
But let me tell you something though, and this is fact. This is fact, Nate. More adults 30 and older are playing video games today than they have in the 90s even.
Because they grew up with them.
Exactly.
Yeah,
so that stigma
that's the point.
Isn't that
you
big.
Look at the revenue numbers. The industry wouldn't be where it's at if it wasn't socially acceptable like it is to go to the movies or to listen to music. I mean,
the numbers are where they're at because the people that started on Atari are still playing the games, and you have new gamers playing the games. So then the numbers grow.
Yeah,
but why?
So
though?
what's the difference there? It's
because
you're
it's socially
saying
acceptable
there's no
now.
stigma there. You're saying that, and I can find you a ton of people that will talk tons of shit about people playing games when they're older.
of course.
You're always going to have
That's
people that
always
talk
been there.
shit. It doesn't mean look. You're always going to have people that talk like, and I'll go back to like hip hop. Rap was stigmatized in the early '80s and '90s, right? And now it's culturally acceptable. But you'll still have people that talk shit about hip hop and rap and say, "Oh, it's thug music. It's this. It's that." And you'll have that for movies. You'll have that for games. But comparing from where games used to be, like from the Nintendo era, from the Genesis era, it has transformed. It is culturally now acceptable. And you see that because you look at like Halo. You look at a game like Halo. You mentioned that, $1 billion franchise. Those games don't get that big. You don't generate those kind of revenue numbers unless it's a socially acceptable form of art. And that's where gaming has progressed over the last 35 years. I've seen it.
I mean, the world's population is growing exponentially. There's more people on the planet to buy these games. There's more games available. There's a PlayStation, an Xbox, a Nintendo. There was only an Atari and some limited availability back then. So
no,
what
there
you're
was more than
saying
just
is
Atari.
based off of conjecture.
There was more than Atari.
There are more people playing because there was a lot of people back then, and it grows exponentially.
There was a lot of people back then too, though. There was billions. Yes, you had billions of people back there. It just wasn't socially acceptable. No. The stereotype in the early '80s was if you were a gamer, you were a nerd. And that's not the stereotype anymore.
You'll find a gaming console in many households. I mean, if you go down your street, I'm sure that
Yeah, but how many of those people use it for Netflix and some other things, right?
That's irrelevant. Well. The fact is that you can
game on your phone. Like, what's the point? I mean, you can call someone a gamer and they're playing on their phone, right?
Yeah, and they're that's true. And you bring up a good point. A lot of people are playing on their cell phones too. You have ladies in their 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s playing cell phone games.
Yeah, but are they defined as a gamer? Like, are they playing like us? Are they talking?
Yes, absolutely.
They are defined technically as a gamer.
If you're playing video games, you're a gamer.
If you pick up Mario Run, my dad picked it up, right? He played it a couple times. Is he a gamer?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying
my dad is not. He's not a gamer, dude.
If he casually picks up something,
the hardcore gamers only make 10% of the market. We're a very small group. The 90% are casual gamers. They're the ones that drive the growth. And so this is what I say when you look at the revenue numbers and you look at how many people have been sucked into gaming and how mainstream gaming is. Look at Mario. Mario is like on the level of Mickey Mouse in terms of like cultural icons.
So if you bring a Switch into a business place, right? A place of business, like let's say you're a lawyer and you bring a Switch into your office, you don't think you'll be judged?
No.
Okay, you know what?
I think you would.
You might be judged because of the level of professionalism at a law firm, and that might not be the appropriate place to play a video game.
And it depends.
That's like if you were going to a law firm with a boombox.
And it depends on the people you work around as well, because there's been some people I've worked with that are gamers and some that just aren't. Like my boss right now, he plays games. He's a gamer. We talk games all the time. He's older than me.
Fine, but in 2011, how many times did you get a Farmville invite by your grandma?
Oh, geez.
By your mom, by
God.
your dad.
I mean,
it was crazy.
It's
you know what I mean?
It's fine. But what you're just saying, like the stigma's not out there. It's still out there.
It's still out there, but it's not.
People are going to have ideas and prejudices and biases against gaming. That's
like the government's, trying Trump, for example. I don't want to get political, but he's trying to put regulations on games based off of violence.
Mm-hmm. It's not
so there is a stigma there.
It's not as bad as when I was a kid.
Government are trying to control what is going on.
That's nothing new,
when it comes to video games.
That's nothing
not new, but it's a stigma, right? Why would they do that and try to put regulations on the gaming industry and gamers if there wasn't a negative stigma?
There is
that's fear mongering, and they're just trying to figure out.
There is
it goes.
There's negative stigma.
I agree with Nate saying there is a bunch of negative stigma out there when it comes to gamers. Yes, there is. That's 100% true. Is it as big as he may think or something? I don't know. I doubt it, because when I was younger, I remember the adults really talking badly about games and stuff, talking down. But I am that adult now who's grown up and taught my kids how to play games and stuff. And I know many of my friends have done the same. Like, we are that adult now that is continuing to be a gamer. And I think that whole thing is while it is still there is some negative spin on it. It's not as great as it once was.
That's my point, Jay. Like, there was a greater stigma when you and I were growing up.
That's a fact.
On video gaming, it wasn't as culturally acceptable, and it wasn't. It just wasn't. You were a nerd if you gamed.
Yep.
Today, you have so many people that play video games. You have women. They're like fastest.
That's not the argument. The stigma's gotten better, but it's still there.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying it's not there, Nate. I don't want you to think that I'm.
So that's my point. It adds to that negative stigma that's there.
I think it's there, but it's not to the level that it used to be. And I don't think that people should look at this as, if this is going to add more to the stigma. I think that people should look at this. You know what? This is mental awareness, and we need to be diligent and look at these things, because I've shared this, publicly. I lost a friend recently off a heroin addiction, and that's a serious issue right now, and those things. I mean, these kinds of things need to be raised. There needs to be a level of awareness so that we don't lose people, or so that there's not even greater stigma placed on the community because of these things, and I just think that,
I'm looking at it. I told you earlier too, like, we were talking about this, and I said maybe this poll makes them, think along those lines. Maybe they're thinking that it's against gamers or labeling gamers a certain way, and that's how some people are taking it. And honestly, at the end of the day, I think it's just it's a better thing. It's a good thing for people to be able to get help if they so need that help. I know from personal experience at the time, I snapped out of it. I finally got rid of that addiction, but it took a long fucking time, and it hurt me both financially and personally. This is another reason why I speak against microtransactions and stuff, because at that time, holy shit, like World of Warcraft, there was no like microtransactions, but they had their auction houses, and you can buy shit with real money, and
you can buy gold with real money.
Did you ever sell your character?
Yes, I did, and I've also bought characters, and like that whole situation is just. That's why I'm so against them nowadays, because I know that's when I went through that addiction with that game and spent money and did all that stuff. And like now I'm just like anti all of that shit. And if somebody else can get help out there with this being diagnosed, I'm all for it. I was lucky enough to pull myself out of this, but there might be somebody out there who can't do that on their own.
Yeah. And Nate, real quick, I don't totally disagree with you. You'll have some people out there that don't know the gaming community. These are the same people that want to censor rap music, or the same people that want to censor gaming, that will use this, against the community. And I get that.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to blow that back. We gon' say that money. We gon' say that money. We gon' say that money. What we do, we gon' say that money. Red Gang got it all wrong.
Kevin, let us know what's coming out this week in
jump on
games,
Kevin.
brother.
Let's go. You ready?
Yes.
Jump on Kevin.
I'm ready.
You guys ready? Are you guys ready for this?
I'm ready.
You guys ready to be broke?
I'm ready.
Okay, let's go.
No games.
No games.
Oh, wow. No games. You hear that, folks?
No games. But I'm not gonna leave you hanging dry. I think on the 16th is Street Fighter the Arcade Edition.
Yep.
And then I think there's one more.
You're still leaving me dry.
Yeah, I'm leaving. I think that's it, bro. Honestly.
Oh,
No,
man.
The Escape is 2 coming
Okay.
for the Nintendo Switch on January 11th.
So nothing for me.
So yeah, so Street Fighter 5, the Arcade Edition on PC and PS4, January 16th, and then you have Genitama Rumble for the PS4, World to the West, Nintendo Switch, January 18th, Death Mark, The Switch and PS4, that's the January 19th. Digimon Story, Cyber Sleuth, Hacker's Memory, PS4 and Vita, January 19th. And then that's really it, bro. That's all be in January 19th. We're not even in January yet. So it's pretty sparse right now, but towards the end of the month we do have some bangers. So
all right,
we'll leave that for that.
Okay.
Someone call Andrew House.
Have a question? Send it. Email us at lootchestradio@gmail.com or DM us on Twitter at LootChestRadio or call us and be heard right here at 802-746-4LCR. That's 802-746-4527.
I want to ask you a bunch of questions, and I want to have them answered immediately.
Well, okay. So with that, let's get into listener questions.
So real quick, I just want to give a big shout out to at Dark Reaper 31 because he gives us some phenomenal questions every week. He really does, and they're pretty in depth. So he wants to know what our take is on games as service, with all the new content dropping for a good portion of games these days, some paid and some free. I personally love it. He says, obviously there are good and bad ways to implement this. I do miss the days of once a game launched, the devs were basically done with it unless there was DLC. I find myself not wanting to trade in as many games as well because I might miss out on some new mode or quest. Ghost Recon being a great example. I beat it and was about to trade it in already, but the new free Predator content dropped, and I've heard rumor of a possible Battle Royale mode this year. Also, as always, I look forward to the show.
Honestly, man, to me, it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, if it's free and they're putting out good content, I agree. Have some, pay for items or whatnot in the game to give the developers some money to keep this game going. But at a $60 price tag, it better be some damn good content to buy and to continue going. Case in point, look at Star Wars Battlefront 2 and Destiny 2. Both not putting out good product. Those are two good examples of just bad that these games as a service can be. I hope that they implement things better in the future, but I don't see it, man. I'm sorry to be that negative person, but I think that it's going to get worse and worse with these microtransactions. And
you really think so?
Yeah. I think it set a precedence with what Star Wars Battlefront 2 did in terms of the gamers speaking up with their wallet and not buying the game, but people still bought it, and people did at one time buy the microtransactions in the game and were fine with it. And it's because of those people, some of those people that are willing to buy this stuff, that it's going to be a continuing trend. I don't see it going away. Like Dark Reaper said, some of it's good, some of it's bad. We're just going to have to roll with it.
Yeah, I think it's I think this is still a kind of a work in progress. I think for developers, I think they're still trying to figure out the balance between what's egregious for us, what makes sense in terms of microtransactions. Hopefully EA's learned their lesson. I think we'll find out with what's the game they're coming out with, the Destiny Killer, as Anthem. They call it, Anthem. I think if any developer wants to take a page out of anyone's book, they should go to Rockstar and GTA. And they seem to have the formula down right, but I don't know, Jay. I can't say that it's all that this is doom and gloom, because I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I think I'm okay with cosmetic DLC, but I'm not okay with DLC in instances where it's pay to win or it's forced. And I think we probably all agree with that. But
yeah, and I'm also good with good, well thought out, created DLC. Spending $20 even on something that's really well done.
I feel like I don't want the microtransactions bleeding over to DLC and just picking and choosing and cherry picking content to be paid for separately from the whole entire DLC. That's my fear. I still want that $20, $30 expansion or that huge piece of narrative, to my favorite game. I don't want to be cherry picked, to go to microtransactions.
Mm-hmm.
We'll split up. We have this big, huge story, but we'll break it up into 3 parts. No, I'm good.
Yeah. And I don't want my game stretched out like Assassin's Creed Origins.
I agree.
I don't want that sort of thing. You know, just making a game longer does nothing for me if it's not fun.
Yeah, I mean that's completely true. You know what I mean? Like when I remember Mass Effect 2, I mean that was some of my favorite DLC, even though it wasn't the greatest, but I still felt like when I bought that, you know, like the Lair of the Shadow Broker, when I played that, I was like, yes, this is what I'm talking about. You know, like this is a nice chunk of story that I'm enjoying.
Mass Effect 2 was just one of the greatest games, man.
I know. Praise to Mass Effect. But you know what I mean? It's
Is
like
Andromeda that bad? I haven't played it.
It is.
Is it really?
Narratively, like the combat, it's cool. The combat's cool. but that narrative, oh god, we'll talk off the air, but it's bad. But yeah, I think DLC, oh man, I'm trying to think of the last good DLC I've played, dude. It's been a while. Maybe The Witcher 3. I haven't played it, but I know it's good. Like
Witcher 3 DLC, from what I understand, is really good.
Right. Taken King was good. But yeah, now I'm thinking about it, there's not that much DLC out there anymore. Like if you think about it, like there's far in between of quality DLC.
Yeah.
Now I'm not talking about cosmetic. I'm not talking about guns and armor. I'm talking about narrative expansion.
You had Horizon Zero Dawn, Frozen Wilds. I've heard is great. I haven't played it, but
really good.
It's pretty good. Yeah, but those are still sprinkles. Imagine dial it back to like 2009 and 2010, where they were giving you almost extra games.
Yeah,
they were
DLC.
back then.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
they were dropping DLC like, you know,
Like no tomorrow, dude.
Yeah.
Nate,
it was good.
What about you, man? Nate, games as a service, man.
Yo, I just think that games as a service is where the industry is going. Like you just have to look to GTA 5. Like it's a money printing machine. They put out content regularly. They just came out with a new heist and new game modes. But I fell into the trap when I was doing physical copies, and I used to go to GameStop. I would trade my game in after I get tired with it, and I would buy games sometimes 3 or 4 times. And I'm all digital now, so that's the remedy to the situation. Believe it or not, if you game share on Xbox, you buy your game digitally, you're not going to trade it back in. So hell, if something comes out like Wildlands, because I didn't really like that game when it came out. The Predator shit came out and I played that, so I just reinstalled it. So
yeah, and things like that is cool. I have nothing against that, but it's when games are built around microtransactions and stuff that it's just really a problem, like Star Wars Battlefront 2. You know, I think that we're all pretty much on the same page here. What do you think about that? That's pretty crazy, right, Nate? You're not getting jumped on this one.
Or I just didn't want to get another
No.
debate.
Don't say that.
Nah.
But look, games as a
love,
service.
dude. It's all love, man.
I think as gamers, we all know that, you know, it could go south really quick with games as a service. But we know the potential, the goodness that can come out of it too. We've seen that with some of this DLC.
And we're not gonna sit here in front like GTA is not proven.
Oh, jeez, yeah, but
you know what I mean. Like games. I mean that game is giving you free DLC for the past 2 years.
Sure.
Guys, I got to come out and say something because you keep bringing up GTA. You know, I don't play GTA Online. I only play these games for their single player experiences, and that's it. I've never. I have gone online.
GTA is the OG PUBG,
but it's not. It's not that fun to me. I tried it before, and I was just like, whatever, you know.
Hey Jay, I try to get back on GTA with me money, and as soon as we spawned and got in a car, some guy in a motorcycle comes driving by and blasts us with a rocket launcher.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're done.
Yeah.
There's a way to play. I mean, if you want to play with your friends, go into a private server or a private online lobby. You know,
it's just that those games online never appealed to me. Like I only played Red Dead Redemption, you know, the single player campaign. I never played it online. I heard that was fun. GTA 5, never played the online service. I just play the campaigns in these games because I find these games fun. They're phenomenal. I like the stories and everything. And it's crazy to me how big this game has gotten over the years. I mean, how many years has this game been out?
2013 September, I think.
Wow.
Yeah, right before the new consoles dropped.
And it's made what, billions?
85.
Yeah,
85 million copies sold, I think.
No, but in microtransactions.
They put a little pamphlet out of like the games that Rockstar came out with, and it's like game like years ago, and then GTA 5 comes out, no games, and it's like,
yeah,
because they're obviously they're printing money off this game.
They've made billions off of this microtransactions and all this stuff.
Well, I mean,
billions.
Take-Two came out 48% of their revenues from microtransactions between GTA and NBA 2K.
It's insane, dude.
I mean, that's a lot of money. 46%. Jesus.
See, on one hand, I can't hate on their hustle, but on the other, I don't like, certain aspects of it. I don't like the paying to win, and that's really what GTA 5 is about online.
Well, things are changing, Jay. I mean, like it's, I always tell people this, like, the way we experience games growing up or accessing content is going to be different than the way our kids experiencing it. I'm seeing it. I'm living it right now.
Yeah.
Where my kid's like trying to hit me up for my credit card. Hey, Dad, I want to buy this thing on my laptop. I'm like, here we go.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's just end it by saying, it's hit and miss with this games as a service, but you stay vigilant. If it's not good, speak with your wallet.
All right. So we got another question from at Dropping Into Hell. Okay. He says, all right, hear me out.
All right. We're hearing you.
He says, what if Disney bought Sony?
Oh, shit.
What if Disney bought Sony? Well, we'd have a hell of a Marvel movie because we'd have the rights to Spider-Man then too, right? So that'd be fun.
Well, the last Spider-Man was good. I mean, I think Sony's been pretty
but I'm just
open
saying,
to,
But in terms of gaming, like, nah. See, and I'm not down with big monopolies anyway, with these big corporations buying out each other and stuff. It's
Disney's taking over the world, man.
Yeah, and that's not a good thing. I'm surprised that they were able to buy what's their names?
Fox.
Yeah, Fox.
Minus Fox News.
Crazy stuff.
If Disney buys Sony, then the end of the world's going to be like the following day because
it wouldn't happen.
I agree with you.
I don't know.
It's an American company.
Spider-Man's already in the MCU, so.
But the thing is, it's an American company, and Japanese won't sell to an American company. It's this hear me out thing. What are you talking about? Who is this from?
At Dropping Into Hell.
At Dropping Into Hell. What are you talking about? It'll never happen.
Hey, you know what?
But
never
thank you
say
for the
never,
question.
man.
Hey, thank you for the question. Appreciate it.
Happy trails to you until we meet again.
Well, we're about out of show here, guys. So, Enrique, let the world know, where can they find you?
All right. So I'm Enrique. You can find me on Twitter at @brap_podcast. I am the founder and co-host of Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, which we go live every Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can find me. You can find us on YouTube as well. Definitely check us out. And hey, everyone have a great New Year too. So I can't believe 2018 is a couple days away. So want to wish everyone a happy and prosperous New Year. So cheers.
All right, Nate, what about you, buddy?
I just want to wish everybody a happy New Year's again. We just hit a milestone on Twitter, just hit 2,000 followers. That's cool.
Nice. Congrats.
Saltiest Gaming, the I is a 1. You can find me on Twitter, very active there. The Saltiest Podcast is every Sunday. It's going to be picking back up after a 2-week hiatus. It's going to be on January 7th at 9 p.m. Eastern. So stay salty for that. I'm going to be putting content out on the daily, or try to, on my channel, just with news with Xbox and other things. I talked about Red Dead's rumored release date as my last video. So that's about it.
All right. Check them out, guys. Kevin, what about you? Where can they find you?
What's up, everybody? Hope everybody has a good New Year's. Get those New Year's resolutions coming out. And you can find me at allday_digital on Twitter.
And you can find me at jfonzarelli, both on Twitter and YouTube. And all of us at LootChestRadio on both as well. And every Sunday right here on LootChestRadio.
Dang, 2017. If it wasn't just me, did it go by fast, guys?
It went by pretty fast.
Yeah, dude.
The older I get, the worse it gets.
Because we were too busy gaming.
It's every year I grow older, the years just go by much faster and faster.
No, you're getting younger, bro.
Yeah.
And you know what, Jay? When you get older, the what is it? The days go slower, but the years go faster.
Yeah.
You got my mind blown right there. I was thinking.
Hey, you guys, don't forget to call in, man. I want some voicemails, man.
What's some voicemails? I actually thought about calling in and be like, "Hey, Jay,
really.
This is Bob.
Hey, this is Bob. What's wrong with 2017? It was a great year for gaming, you dumbass. Nah.
Yeah, but moving forward with the podcast, man, it's been great. I mean, we started with last month.
Mm-hmm.
It's been great podcasting with you guys. It's been great getting feedback from the listeners. It's been a pretty cool experience doing this pre-recorded stuff. Very happy with the turnout. I like the chemistry. I like the conversations, man. Let's just push it forward in 2018 and get people more involved in these voicemail.
Most definitely. Give us a call at 802-746-4LCR. That's 802-746-4527, guys. Give us a call. We want to hear from you. And with that, I'd like to say goodbye, 2017. Bring on 2018 and all those glorious games. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening to us on this podcast, and hopefully you'll come back next year. So until next time, guys, or until next year, I should say, keep it gaming.
You're still here? It's over.